Can we talk for a minute about our Integrating Heart and Mind workshop?
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's coming up in the fall of 2024.
I'm so excited. We changed the format to make it more accessible to people with like work schedules and personal schedules. And so this time we're going to do it 3 hours on a Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at, and 5 hours on Saturday for 2 different weeks in September.
Yeah, it's so great. Like if you're finding yourself stuck in like sticky bad patterns or having communication issues or something like that, or if you want to just like get closer and trust yourself or your partner more, this is the workshop for you.
Yeah, and individuals are welcome, couples are welcome. If you're interested in really thinking through how to serve yourself well inside of your relationships, then we've built a workshop that will support you in finding the ways that are just right for you.
To sign up, head over to our website at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
We hope you'll join us.
Welcome to the Why Does My Partner podcast.
I'm Jules.
I'm Vicki.
And I'm Rebecca. We're your hosts. We're also couples therapists and messy humans bumbling through our own relationships every day.
We met at a training, and our secret sauce is that we and our partners became fast friends. Between us, we have more than 40 years of experience holding hard relational questions with our clients. We're going to bring those questions here.
And together, we're going to take a stab at answering those questions. This podcast is not a substitute for couples therapy. If something you hear in this podcast stirs something deep within you about your relationship, reach out to a couples therapist in your area.
We also love to hear your questions, so don't forget to go over to whydoesmypartner.com to leave a question of your own. Here's today's question.
Why does my partner get defensive when I ask her to be mindful of her close coworker lesbian friend who has been showing growing signs of an emotional connection with my wife? We all had a good friendship initially, but their relationship has started to become more mutually exclusive, moving closer and closer to the boundaries of my comfort zone. Of course, to my wife, they're just friends. I'm insecure, and I need to trust her. Thank you.
Oh, you know what strikes me immediately? It just, this is painful.
Really painful.
This is painful I'm just listening to the voice of, thank you for sharing your question with us. And I can just feel like this feels painful to you. And I just want to validate that experience for you. I get that this hurts. And I don't think it's weird that it hurts.
I don't think it's weird that it hurts either. And the thing that keeps coming up for me when I listen to this question is I feel that pain too. And I feel there's also like a dismissing of the pain. Right?
Yeah, there could be.
Like that's kind of
he
like
believes he's being dismissed is what you're saying, right? That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. You know, she tells me that I'm getting defense or that I'm, I need to trust her more or something, right? That feeling of being dismissed is something that's big, or it could be big. Right? Like this matters to me. And you're not taking what matters to me seriously. This feels dangerous to me. And you're dismissing that idea. That feels like, I don't know about the friendship, but I know that I'm hearing in the question that piece. And that feels significant.
When I'm feeling dismissed or lots of other things, that's when I become that 4-year-old banging on a door. So that, and I don't think he's being a 4-year-old banging on a door at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. But Rebecca, I'm echoing what you said about feeling dismissed is so painful and it kicks stuff up for us. Like that's what it kicks up for me. Is like, listen to me. You have to listen to me.
Yeah. Well, and I think we all have heard messages about like, you're making a big deal out of it. Don't be dramatic. The feelings are ridiculous. And I don't think it does our relationships or ourselves much service to be thinking about feelings in that way. Because think about like, what are feelings? Like, first of all, you ask 100 emotion researchers what a feeling is, and you're going to hear 100 different definitions. But when I pull all of the research that I've read together and I kind of look like, where's that Venn diagram overlap? I keep talking about this is going to be the season of Venn diagrams. Jules is going to pull it out every episode. It's going to be super fun. But when I look at like how they kind of overlap, I think about a process in the subcortical system where your brain has a superhero level job. Like, we should all be so grateful to our subcortical mind. What does it have to do? It has to pay attention to two different things. One is, what are the goals? What are my hopes? Where am I aiming? And keep the body and system safe, right? It has both goals mutually and simultaneously. Your brain does. It has to hold both of them at the same time.
Yep.
And it's dealing with this world with literally millions of bits of information per second coming at it. 11 million bits of information per second are taken in by the lower part of your brain. So it's just flooding information. It has to make sense of all this information that's coming in. And how does it do that? It makes sense of the information from like your heart space and your belly space, like the center of your body. It makes sense from the muscles. It makes sense from the sights and sounds and smells and what people are saying to you and all that. And then your subcortical brain compares it to categories of learning that you have developed for your entire life. And in 1/4 of 1 second, it has to tell you about what this stimuli means when it comes to both your safety and your goals. So that it can tell your blood where to move next. So that if you needed to stand up, you could. I mean, my goodness.
Seriously, I was just thinking that, like, how are we all ever awake?
I know.
That
Isn't
just
this
sounds
amazing?
exhausting.
Your brain is a brilliant, brilliant thing. So here it is. It's
I
like
can't believe that my brain is doing it.
your
tired
brain
just
is
hearing
doing
it.
that. Becky, your brain is doing that right now. And so when you have a feeling, that's your brain trying to figure out, what does this world mean to me, given what I know about safety and what I know about my goals? So I don't think a feeling is anything but a
piece of
like
information.
like the essence of it is a piece of information about how I'm making sense out of the world. So a feeling is kind of a genius little thing that told you something true about you.
Yeah.
And it told you something true about what the stimulus meant to you. And I don't want us to discount that, because it's a way to get to know yourself better. So let's use it. Great.
And when we can understand our feelings and our partner's feelings, it's a way to get to know each other better.
Right. And their feelings are themselves becoming them through time too. Like
Right.
they're like trying to figure out what the world means as well. Right. So, and it's not even a but, it's and what a hard conversation to have where I'm having tender feelings that do matter and are important. And you're having tender feelings that do matter and are important. And we are not aligned on how we see this situation. I mean, what an incredibly difficult conversation to have and navigate smoothly. Right? I don't think it would be. I think you'd navigate it.
You're going to have bumps in the road.
You're going to have bumpy ones.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about how we build trust. Right? Like, because I hear in this question, like, just trust me, right? Like there's that kind of element in here. Like, you're not trusting me. You should trust me. And what I'm thinking about that is like, how do we build trust? Like, how do we really build trust in relationships? It's typically not just something we have. It's something that gets established through the bumps and the ruptures and the ways that there's discord experienced inside of our relationship, and how we trust that we will do hard things together, that we will tend to that we have the capacity to work through something hard. So we don't know this couple. We don't know what they have been through or what they haven't been through or how they have or they haven't built trust. But that would be a piece of this for me too, is how much have they been through together? How much resilience do they have and trust in themselves that they can do these hard things? Because there's something in here that's really being activated for this person who's asking the question as quite scary.
Yeah. And maybe for the partner as well. So I don't know what's important for your partner around having this friendship and it evolving in the way that it is. But I bet that would be important information to hold as part of this conversation. And your feelings about what is and is not okay for you, you get to define that. And that's totally valid too. And my guess is if you can let yourself have a bit of a bumpy conversation wherein you're trying not to solve the problem, not to create rules around how often we see this friend or in what way, but that the first conversation is actually about understanding both people's points of view.
Yeah.
Let me understand you better. What's important for you about protecting our relationship in this way? What's important for you about having this friendship? So that we can get to a space where at least we're both feeling heard before, and then sleep on it. And then have another conversation, a different moment of how could we navigate this in a way that meets both of our needs for protection and exploration. And my guess is there could be a lot of creative answers to that.
If both can remain curious and open without just trying to defend their own point. I really find myself going back to his question. And so in no way is this a judgment on him, on you, sir. No way is this a judgment. I'm wondering what's been presented to the wife. Because the question has in it the question that I hope has gone to her. I'm going to explain what I mean. And her answer isn't answering it. So his question is literally, why is this friendship important? And when I bring my concerns to her, she says, I don't trust her. That doesn't answer why the friendship is important. So I wonder if he's just presenting that to us or if he has presented that to her.
Oh, if he's asked her, like,
if he's
help
asked
me
her,
understand.
Help me understand, why is this friendship important to you? Because again, it was built right into the question.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that is going between them.
Well, no,
we don't know.
Check this out. Okay, so I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to ask it with the exact same words, but I'm going to ask it two different ways. Okay, so here comes number one. Why is this friendship so important to you? Here comes number two. Why is this friendship so important to you? Okay, in the first one, I'm trying to get you to do something different. Rather than ask the question. So that's all I was thinking at the beginning is like, I want her to see how upset this is making me, so I need her to change her behavior. And now I'm going to spit those words out. So it's coming from an urgency. It's coming from I need something, a different action to happen right now. And then the second one is more really coming from I want to understand. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't understand. And so if we can drop into the literally I think of it as the hammock of not knowing is what I tell folks.
Oh, wow.
Can you swing into the hammock of not knowing?
No, I don't like that.
I have a gentle hammock of not knowing.
Busy, is that your vertigo?
Yeah. So that you can be curious about what her side is. And I'm not saying that because it doesn't mean your point isn't valid. Because I want her to have just as much of an understanding about why this is painful for you and why it's so important to you that your relationship is protected.
So that gets me thinking more about boundaries. Because what I'm hearing in this is like, it's a boundary crossing to me, right? Like I am setting a boundary and she's not respecting it, which is how a lot of people do think about boundaries. And I think there's another element here that we talk about a lot when we talk about boundaries, which is also that like boundaries aren't just like ways we get to control other people's behavior. Boundaries are
there is no such thing.
There's no such thing, right? Like the execution of a boundary is, if this continues to feel bad to me, here's what I'm going to do in response. Right. And so So I hear in this question that the person that's asking it really does feel that there's a line that's being crossed. And I'm not minimizing that. I'm getting that. And I think there's a much deeper question for this couple to be having. And I think the person who's asking this question is the one who gets to set their boundary, not a boundary for their partner, but a boundary that they get to set and act on if things don't go a particular way for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not done in a punitive way or in
Thank you.
I'm going to get you to do something different.
Yeah.
Because I'm punishing you or it's not about that. It's more just like, it could be just, this doesn't feel okay for me.
Yeah.
And so, no, I can't shut up about it. Sorry.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like, or I'm leaving. I'm not that black and white about it, but it can be.
It could be, this is really important to me. I need to go to therapy about this. Will you come with me?
Which is a direct request, right? Totally get if you don't, but I'm going to go to therapy about this, even if you're not. Could be that. Yeah, but it feels like a negotiation conversation around really understanding each other and then coming up with, well, what are our creative solutions? Rather than us trying to control each other, which is basically what's happening right now. So when she says to you, you need to trust me more, that's her trying to control your inner world. And when you say you don't get to see her this much, you're trying to control her behavior. So basically, I've got two folks who are trying to control each other, which means you're butting your heads up against reality, which is, it's a good way to lead to suffering. Because the truth is you can't control each other. So what happens if we face that, we let ourselves have sadness about that truth because it makes us really vulnerable. And then we have a deeper conversation about how do you protect each other? How do you honor each other's need for exploration? How do we listen to each other more deeply? And this could be a moment. I'm such a silver lining person. This could be a moment where you discover something new about each other. Yeah. And you actually could move into deeper intimacy from this space. So it could be, even though it's a really hard situation, relational gold for you.
It could be such gold. I'm sitting here thinking, it could be as you get curious about your partner's friendship, that you learn something deeper about your partner and what maybe this friendship is meeting that they were really missing out on. And then maybe that sparks some kind of growth inside of your relationship with you trying to maybe tend to some of those things.
And it could be your partner discovers something really cool about you too.
Yeah.
In terms of why this is, how important it is for you to protect this relationship and what that means for you.
I'm also hearing in him, I'm making this up, he sounds possibly sad that he's losing a friendship as well. Because he's saying it started out as all three of them, and now he's being excluded. So I wonder if that there's some pain there.
So if that's happening, that could be part of this larger conversation. Right. So anytime, and let's scale this out for folks. There are so many times when the stuff I want to have happen, the actual behavior doing, and what my partner's behavior doing, what we want is different. And they're simultaneous. So we don't get to both have them.
Yeah. Vicki, when I heard you say that, what I thought too is there could be an element of, it's actually maybe not the partner that he doesn't trust. Maybe it's this other person who's right? Like that there's something else going on there. So.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And it could be that this person is not interested in protecting the relationship.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean for the larger dynamic? And what does that mean if your wife is part of that conversation and it's not about whether or not I trust you, it's about whether or not the people we're asking to be close to us in our lives
Are people who
are
protect-
cherishing, are people who cherish our partnership.
Yeah.
And that's important to me. And here's why. Cool. Have that conversation. Right. So I wonder if I could offer a map, though, to our listeners. So anytime you end up with partner A wants this list of behavior, partner B wants the other list of behavior, and you cannot simultaneously execute both. We just gave you a little map of what to do. Step 1, stop worrying about how you're going to solve the problem. Unless it's urgent, like you have to do something or somebody's going to, die or lose a house or something like that. Like tomorrow, don't worry about solving it. Take solving it off the table. Take behavior change off the table. Drop it back into what is being met for you if your way happens. What do I get to discover more about you from those needs, from those hopes? What do you discover about yourself? What do we share with each other? So increase the listening, the hearing each other, the vulnerability on the front end. Then sleep on it, hopefully for even a couple of days if you can. And then go back and offer different solutions. And if you're not coming up with 3 to 5 that potentially could work for you, you are not in an integrated brain space, I promise you.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 3 to 5 different ways we could solve this that would make me okay.
I love this.
And then each partner has a list of 3 to 5, and some of them may overlap, some of them may not, but we're going to end up with at least 5 potential solutions.
I love this. I think that's a great place for us to land today. Hope that was helpful. Take care of yourselves best you can.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That wraps up this week's episode. Join us again next week for another Why Does My Partner?
We hope that you continue to listen wherever you get your audio and that you'll follow the show.
To go deeper, join us at one of our workshops. You'll find our next date at whydoesmypartner.com.
Did you know you can ask us your questions?
Your questions are relational gold.
Go to whydoesmypartner.com to either write in or record your question for a future episode.
And here are some gratitudes. Thanks to Al Hoverman, our sound editor and podcast production magic maker.
Thanks to every one of you who has joined us for our workshops in the past. We've learned so much from all of you.
And thanks to everyone who's reviewed the show on Apple Podcasts. Your reviews help others to find the show.
Take care of each other best you can.
See you next time.